Hey everybody, what's up? First of all, I want to say thanks to everybody that came by the stream that I hosted with Kime. He and I played at Pontiff. I had an absolute blast. I hope Kime did too. I hope all of you who joined had a really good time too. It was so much fun, and it was pretty striking, because I do a lot of dried finger runs kind of off stream. I do them at soul level 60, soul level 90, whatever, whenever I'm making a new build. And I've noticed in the past, if I make a build at soul level 125, the quality and caliber of the opponents I get, it's definitely much higher. Like, I can make an entire build at soul level 90 and not die to a single invader. I can't really say the same thing is true at 125. And I was reminded of that as we were doing the hosting at Pontiff. The first 45 minutes or so, it was pretty easy going because nobody had joined chat, people didn't know what was going on. But the moment people realize what's going on, and then you have everyone in chat trying to snipe you, the caliber of invader improves by a lot. Like, it is a huge difference. I think Kime and I probably went the first 45 minutes or so, didn't die once, and then in the next couple of hours or so, we died numerous times to everybody from chat that was coming in, and it was just a lot of fun. So I hope you guys all had a really good time too. The other thing about being invaded by everyone from chat, it just reminded me again that as much as I've improved at this game, and I have improved a lot, there's still a huge amount of room for me to grow as a player and get better. And really most of my growth stopped by 2020, at least partway through 2020. I don't play that much anymore. There haven't been a lot of opportunities for growth, but lately I've been kind of feeling the urge to improve again. And so I've been thinking, with my limited amount of time, how can I get the most bang for my buck? Like, what should I really be focusing on to get better and to be able to hang with some of these really, really good players? And I came to some conclusions, and I'll share those here in just a couple minutes. But I want to talk also about the process by which I came to identify these areas of opportunity. See, I haven't actually made these improvements yet. I'm working at them. And I wanted to kind of share that journey with you because some of the feedback I've gotten from people is it's not so much the improvement, but it's the journey that people like to see and they can kind of relate to. So here we go. So in my quest to improve, I've been watching a lot of players lately, and not simply watching, but studying and watching in close detail a lot of players, especially G9, just because he's obviously really good and he streams a lot, so it's a natural fit. But not just him. I mean, I watch Hollow, I watch Vale, I watch a lot of really good players who stream and try to learn things. And it's funny, I've actually watched so much of G9 that I've started to pick up on a lot of like little patterns of his. And I've been thinking about making a video, like a G9 deconstructed video, just to examine some elements of his gameplay and why I think he does certain things, and some things that you could maybe add to your gameplay, and some things he does differently from other players, and kind of the pros and cons of each approach. But anyway, that video, if it's ever made, is down the road. Today I want to talk about sort of my journey to self-improvement. And because I don't have a lot of time, not only do I have to do the analysis of what I want to improve at, but I have to be very mindful of how much time I spend and what thing is going to give me kind of the biggest bang for my buck. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what those things are here in just a moment. Interestingly here, the clips that you've seen are mostly from randoms. I jumped on to get some footage. I had 4 duels. One was really latent, and the other 3 I think I flawlessed. And not because I'm especially good, but because random players in general just aren't that great. And it's really important to play against very good players if you really want to improve. And here, this is me fighting against Specter. And me fighting Specter versus me fighting Arena Randoms, it's like night and day. Unfortunately, I didn't get as much time to play against Specter as I would have liked, and so we had to cut the session short. So I didn't get as many clips fighting against him as I would have liked, but shout out to Specter, thanks for the fights. He gave me a suggestion on improvement, which ironically was the very thing that I was zeroing in and focused on improving, which to me was a really good sign that I was onto something. And to talk about what that is, I want to first talk about what I tend to normally do. And I tend to have an approach that is very kind of like zoning focused. I tend to zone out, try to space out, try to bait whiffs from my opponents. And if you do that well, that approach will serve you very well, and you will probably win 95% of your fights, but it won't let you beat the really, really great players. To do that, you've got to go beyond simple zoning. And one thing that I had this epiphany, Specter said, hey, when you're playing Curve Sword, you should be pressuring me a lot more. You should be kind of getting in my face. And that was exactly what I was thinking. We're actually going to watch a clip here in a few minutes from Pepp, and I want to talk about that in more detail. But you'll see in these clips, I'm making a concerted effort to push in closer than I would normally do. Normally, closer than I would feel comfortable doing in an attempt to improve. So let's take a look at this clip from Pepp here. So first, huge shout out to Pepp for sharing this footage. This is obviously him invading, so level 125, comes across a bonfire duelist, probably another invader. I don't mean to suggest that he's just standing here looking for duels. That's probably not the case. I want to do a couple things. I want to show the video first, kind of without interruption, and let you get a feeling for kind of what's happening here. And then I want to show the video a second time, and I want to highlight specific moments because I think in this clip, Pepp demonstrates the skill set that I'm driving toward, kind of where I would want to be as a player, the place where Pepp already is, and the things that he's doing that I think make him such a ferocious player, and I think would really help me step up my game. Couple other things of note. The other player is actually playing, I think, the way I play today. And one thing I noticed is this player, he's kind of doing the zoning thing, and he's overly reliant on running attacks. And that is exactly the problem that I have. I'm overly reliant on running attacks. And I think that's a natural consequence of playing this sort of zoning approach where you don't want to be up close to the other player. And how do you minimize your time up close to the other player? Well, easy. You only use like really fast running attacks from a curved sword or a straight sword, and that kind of minimizes your exposure. And that's kind of the mental model that I had, and I expect that this other player has as well. And you can see Pepp doing everything he can to frustrate the other player's approach. He's standing very, very close to the other player, even though he has a curved sword. Just something I would never normally be willing to do. And I think this zoning and overly reliant on running attack approach is also where I become a very predictable player. And I've talked before about how I think I'm too predictable, but I haven't been able to figure out why. And I think that this all relates to the same thing. So I think this has the potential to be a huge improvement in my gameplay. Normally I only show things like kind of after I've learned them, but I think the journey's kind of cool too. So I thought I'd make this video, talk about the journey, and then down the road we can talk about kind of where it ends up. So now that we've seen the fight kind of uninterrupted, I want to focus on a few bits in more detail. And I want you to pay particular attention to a couple things. One, how close Pepp stands to his opponent. But two, the reads he gets. Like, that is a punish on prediction. That is not a reactive whiff punish. And you'll see consistently he does this where he reads his opponent. He's unafraid to stand right up next to his opponent. He does these little like spin around things. I do these too, but Pepp does it so much more gracefully and with such tighter spacing. He's able to predict and intercept every one of his opponent's attacks. And that's because for the most part, his opponent is playing very defensively, and he becomes increasingly defensive as time goes on, as Pepp keeps punishing everything he tries to do. Now, nothing against this other player. The other player seems pretty good, but Pepp is, one of probably the top 5 invaders in the game and an incredibly capable duelist. So very few players would have a real chance against Pepp in this situation. I love too the turn away attacks either to bait a whiff punish or because he realizes after he launched the attack that he's not going to be close enough, and so he redirects it. Here again, he anticipates the attack, does the slight pivot, and is able to come in for the whiff punish. I mean, the spacing there is just so tight, but the spacing's impressive, but it's the reads that he knows this other player is going to attack. Like, he's got this other player completely downloaded, and here he's trying to L1 waggle him into a roll. He doesn't, and then right when the other player is about to counterattack, instead he intercepts it and punishes him briefly, and then he just stands there. He just waits. The other player knows he's got priority, so he's afraid to attack first. Misses the whiff punish, and then watch how quick this Estus cancel is here. You can't even punish that on reaction with a curved sword. I've heard some people suggest you cannot. And look how Pepp turns himself away unlocked, because he knows the other player wants to get away from being forced into a corner, so he's going to roll back towards this open area. Pepp's able to position himself in a way to intercept the direction in which he's going to roll. I mean, it's just unbelievable, man. I wish I could play like this. But the thing I take away personally is trying to get closer, trying to force people to panic a little bit. There's that pirouette whiff punish again. I mean, watch this thing back at full speed, guys. It's truly impressive. Pepp, thanks for sharing this. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks so much for stopping by. I hope you guys are all having a great holiday, and I'll talk to you all soon. Bye now.